Happy morning, friends. Here's yours, Dr. Ajanta. Welcome to day 55 session. Today we are just going to discuss about iterators. Iterators are objects that can be iterated upon. And here we are just going to build our own iterator by using the two methods. One is double underscore iterate and double underscore next method. Okay, let me just see what is iterators in Python. See, iterators are everywhere in Python. They are elegantly implemented within for loops, comprehensions, generators, etc., but are hidden in plain sight. An iterator in Python is simply an object that can be iterated upon, an object which will return data one element at a time. So technically speaking, a Python iterator object must implement two special method, that is double underscore iterate and double underscore next, collectively called the iterator protocol. An object is called iterable if we can get an iterator from it. So most built-in container in Python like a string or list or tuple etc. are iterables. So the iter function, that is iter function, which it in turn calls that a double underscore iter method, returns an iterator from them. Okay, let me just see some examples, that is iterating through an iterator. And we use the next functions to manually iterate through all the items of an iterator. So when we reach the end and there is no more data to be returned, it will raise the stop iteration exception. So for us, here is the example. See here, dear friends, we are just going to create a list, that is my list is the variable, and we are just having a 4 element inside the list, and here we are just going to use the iter, that is my iter is a variable where iter is the exact to get an iterator using this, and through this we are just going to use the next iteration. And when on just making this, and I just have to make what is my next iter, what is my next iter. So here I have just given some 2 to 3 iterations, and even we have just provided with double underscore next iter, which is just provide the next iteration processing. And let me just see the execution, dear friends, kindly have a look of it. 6903, and after that it just got an error. Oh, sorry, no. After that it just got an error, that is, this is where there was no limit. And see here, dear friends, a more elegant way of automatically iterating is by using the for loop. So let me just use this. We can iterate over any object that can return an iterator. So for example, as like a list or a string or file, etc. So here we are just having an for loop, and we just make use of that iterator, and we just make only which is only within this list. So as previously we are just having only the 4 element in this list, we just got iterator, but even though it just rises an error, that is if any other iterations is there or not. So if we just make use of this for loop, yeah, it just knows the limit and it ends where it is for. But see here, dear friends, as we see in this above example, this for loop was able to automatically iterate automatically through the list. And in fact, the for loop can iterate over any iterables. So let's take a closer look here and how the for is actually implemented in Python. So see here with this example, what is it is for element in anything to be iterable. Here, see here we have just given as a my list. Okay, and here I just want to do something with that element, and here we have done the print function. So how this is done is actually here it is actually implemented as, so this is the iterable object, and we are just going to make use of this in the iterable. So internally the for loop creates an iterate object, and this iter object by calling the iter on the iterable. So ironically this for loop is actually an infinite while loop. Okay, so this for loop which we have just created, this one, it's we just say as like an infinite while loop. So inside the loop it calls the next method, to get the next element and executes the body of the for loop with this value. After all the items exhaust, stop iteration is raised. Sorry, okay. Stop iteration is raised, and which is internally caught and the loops ends. So note that any other kind of execution will pass through. Okay, let me just implement it by the some of the functions, and here there are some built-in custom iterators. See, building an iterator from the scratch is easy in Python. We just have to implement that double underscore iter and double underscore next method, where this double underscore iter method returns the iterator objects itself. If required, some initialization can be performed. And when coming to this double underscore next method must return the next item in the sequence. On reaching the end and in subsequent calls, it must rise stop iteration. So here we show an example that will gives us the next power of 2 in each iterator. So that power extent starts from the 0 up to a user set number. So see here, dear friends, when I just make the call of this function, here we are just having power of 2, and here we are just having an constructor with the max is equal to 0 as the parameter, and here we are just having an double underscore iter method, double underscore next method. So here we just have informations related to that for two methods, and there a rise of stop iterations has also be provided in the double underscore next method. And when we just create an object with the class of power of 2, and we just make the iterable from the object I, and when on all giving this for loop, that is the print of next, we just getting the output of that iterations. And see here, dear friends, here we are just making the execution of 1 2 3 4 5 times, and here we just have the exact execution output. Kindly have a note of it. And see, as we have just given the 5 terms, you can also make use of the same here by using the for loop to iterate over our iterator class. So here too we can just get, so previously we just made it for power of 4 functionality, and when we just make it here for a 5, yeah, we just get that the next iteration also. Okay, dear friends, let me just see about Python infinite iterators. See, it is not necessary that the item in an iterator object has to be exhausted. There can be infinite iterators, so which it never ends. We must be careful when handling such iterators. Okay, here are some sample examples to demonstrate that infinite iterators, and the built-in function which we just say iter, and a function can be called with two arguments, with where the first argument must be callable object, that is the function, and the second is the sentinel. And the iterator calls this function until the returned value is equal to the sentinel. And see here, dear friends, we are just having a function, that is the class which we are just going to have the first one, the callable object function, that is int, and the next one the sentinel. So here this is the exact, and if I just give the sentinel of first one, yeah, we are just getting next infi, and again if I just give the second one, yeah, here also. So we can see that the iter function always returns 0. Even if I just make one more iteration, if I just make one more iteration, yeah, that too, I just get the answer 0. So it returns 0. So pausing that as iter int of I will return an iterator that calls the iter function until the returned value equals 1. So this never happens and we get an infinite iterator. But we can also build our own infinite iterator. So here it is a function where it just, see here dear friends. So here it is a class that is infinite iterator is there, where it just going to return all the odd numbers. Okay, so how we are just going to do is by using this class, and here we are having the methods. One is iter method and next one the next method. Okay, and when we just make use of this, here we have just given the num is equal to plus 2 and we have to return this. So here it just makes the only odd out. So that is what it just going to do. And let me just create this class, and here a is the object of this infer-iter. So I just want to create a class object with that class. Okay, now see here dear friends, when I just execute, sorry, okay, when I just execute this output, how many times if I just execute, yeah, it is just going to give me the output of only the odd numbers. And see here dear friends, I just execute it, yeah, 1, again I just place it and make execution, it's 3 and it's 5, again I copy and paste and it just gives 7, again once more time it's 9. So see, you can infinitely till how many times you want it can be, and so on. And see here dear friends, be careful to include a terminating condition when iterating over these types of infinite iterator. And the advantages of using iterator is that they save resources. Like shown above, we could get that all the odd numbers without storing the entire number system in memory. So we can have infinite items, that is theoretically infinite memory. Okay, so this is how we are just able to make the iterators. So there is easy way to create iterators in Python's some of things also. And if you are having any doubts or any other things, kindly provide it in the command box. And this is the exact last week of this challenge, so please keep in touch and make every possibilities to be on hands-on. And whatever you are having any doubts onto this program, kindly just comment on it. Thank you dear friends, have a nice day.